Okay, so my name is Matt Rich. I am an attorney, licensed in Illinois. I've been out of law school for 10 years. I really only practiced for 7.5. I worked for an alderman for 2.5 years, kind of in between this gig and my previous law gigs. I've almost exclusively done real estate my whole career. I spent 2 years working primarily doing residential and condo development, and then I did residential or strictly commercial for 4 years. And then I worked for an alderman, and now I'm back primarily doing residential, some commercial. I'm trying to pick up some zoning work, but it's the residential that's really the bread and butter of our business. So the name of our firm is Braun and Rich. It's a partnership with me and Greg Braun, who I used to work for right out of law school. He was the first boss in real estate I ever had, and asked me to come join him this past summer. So the question was, what did I do for the alderman when I worked for the alderman? I was her director of zoning. She was a newly elected alderman in Lincoln Park, and anybody who follows local politics knows that over the last few years, Lincoln Park has gone under some dramatic changes with respect to hospitals, and there were new projects that were going to be developed at the children's site, at the Lincoln Park Hospital. So she wanted somebody, and there's a lot of development in Lincoln Park. There's a lot of tear downs and building back new homes. She has a lot of real estate development. So she wanted somebody who wasn't just a standard chief of staff who deals with the politics, and she needed somebody who could come in and talk about real estate and who could educate her on real estate. And I was just looking for a change. The market had really slowed down, and I was kind of at a dry spot with my previous job. And so for me, it was a perfect opportunity. But I got to experience a lot more than just real estate working for an alderman. The question was, how did I choose law? I did Model UN in high school, and I thought I'd be this great litigator. And I did litigation. I did divorce law the first 10 months of my career, and I couldn't have hated something more. It was brutal. It was the most depressing job I've ever done. And so I said, I don't want to do this. If I'm going to do law, if I'm going to practice law, maybe there's some more peaceful way to do it. And real estate law, typically, with divorce law, litigation, the parties seem to be going like this. And with real estate, the parties kind of come together. They want to get the deal done for the most part. There's nothing usually undermining going on. So it's a more pleasant way to practice. But it is pretty stressful, I'll tell you that. It can be very stressful because particularly with residential, you're dealing with people's personal lives. They're moving. It's the biggest investment of their lives, and for most people. And so, when things don't go right, I feel a responsibility to them, even if it's nothing to do with me, to get to make sure we're doing the right thing, doing whatever we can to make the deal work, within reasonable limits. The question was, how do you help a new homeowner go through the closing smoothly? First of all, we are the service provider that comes in at the end of the negotiation process with the contract. So the buyer has hired their agent. They've probably got a mortgage broker at that point, maybe not, but after they've gone under contract, they typically now get referred to an attorney. So I really rely on a real estate agent to help guide us through if any issues come up. But to help make them comfortable, we explain our role. We guide them through every aspect, because in a residential deal, there's a process. You go under contract, but then there's an attorney review process where the attorney reviews the contract, proposes modifications, proposes inspection issues based on the buyer's, the new homeowner's inspection. So we still are we are negotiating portions of the contract. But we work with them. We work with their lender to make sure that all the contingencies are met. We make sure we work with their agent to make sure any things that come up in between closing and the contract time are dealt with. But it's just making yourself available to them so they understand the process and know what to do and what not to do before the closing. How to spend their money before the closing, making sure they're not doing something silly that the mortgage broker is going to have a problem with, or it could be a variety of things, but it's really kind of hand-holding, and that's what we view our job. The biggest issue I deal with, it's not so much our issue as an attorney, but it's more, I noticed that buyers aren't educated enough by their other service providers about what to do. So for example, the lender says to them, hey, don't go out and buy $10,000 worth of new furniture because that's going to be checked against you later in the process. And then, all of a sudden we get to the closing and their credit report is a disaster. Or they try to schedule the closing on the same day that they're selling their home, for example. That's another one that comes up. And their loan screws up that time process. It's just about being careful during the process. I would say the biggest issue we come up with is lender issues. And it's navigating whatever the lender needs. And that we do that. So we prepare addendums if the lender needs an addendum. If the buyer needs to, if whatever the lender needs for the buyer to move forward, we have to work with. That's what I find to be the biggest issue. Advice on what's allowed to have a good partnership. One, I love the guy who I work with. He was a terrific mentor to me. And I knew that he could be somebody from a social standpoint and a business standpoint that if I was ever in an opportunity to work with him and not for him, I could trust him. And I think he is looking out for our best interests. So he was a friend, but he was somebody who could give guidance and be counted on as a partner. Not just somebody who knew real estate law. It just happened to work out really well. The question was, tell me about yourself. I grew up in Highland Park, which is a suburb north of here. I went to Miami of Ohio for undergraduate school, and then I went to Chicago-Kent. I have a wife. We met my first year of law school in 2001. And we got married in 2005. We have 2 kids. I have an almost 6-year-old and an almost 4-year-old. We were living in Wicker Park the last 7 years. And then this summer, we relocated to, I actually don't know the name of the area, but it's Irving Park area. And it's been great. It's been great. It's a lot of life changes in the last year. But I love spending time with my family. I love being around my friends. I live for the weekends, so things are good.